Hello people, Edwin Learnard back once again. In this segment I'm going to give you my predictions for 2012 NFL season, week 15. My first game, I'm going to take the Cincinnati Bengals on the road over Philadelphia Eagles. I think right now we look at the Bengals, they lost a heartbreaker last week, but they were on a rampage since then. The Philadelphia Eagles, I know they're notorious for finishing strong, and the last couple seasons they finished very well in their last 4 and 5 games of each season, but I think I'm going to go with the Bengals based on just the simple fact that they're playing a little bit better and they're vying for maybe a wild card berth in the AFC, while the Philadelphia Eagles are basically playing to get some momentum for next season. So I'll take Bengals in that one. In the next game, we got two juggernauts going at it. We got the New York Giants and the Atlanta Falcons playing, and this is really basically essentially a toss-up. I think I'd take the Giants on virtue of the experience. They are the defending Super Bowl champions. They have the propensity to finish strong and go on a roll heading into the playoffs, and I think they can. This is a point right now where they're going to make their run, and they could go very deep in the NFC playoffs, despite the fact that Atlanta's at home and they have a better record. So in Atlanta, their postseason record of late has not been tremendous, but I'm going to go with the Giants. Next game, St. Louis Rams at home over Minnesota. I will take the Rams in this game. Minnesota, may appear to be the better team on paper. St. Louis, Jeff Fisher's got that franchise right now. It looks like he's got them somewhat rejuvenated and revived, and they're playing well recently, especially in the defensive end. They in their division, they've played very competitive this season, and they did not lose to San Francisco in both outings against them, and they are at home, and I think this is a team that could be close to becoming a very superlative team on their home field, and I like the Rams to win this. Next game, Miami Dolphins at home over the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think I'll take Miami in this one. No offense to the Jaguars, but if you can't beat the Jets in a home game, there's no way you're going to go into Miami in hopes of defeating them. So I'm going to take the Dolphins in this game. Next game, Green Bay Packers over the Chicago Bears. Chicago is at home. That I know that their history at home of late might be the fact that they are very superior home team. I want to see how Jay Cutler does against this rematch and supposed retribution game versus the Green Bay Packers. I think the Packers right now, they could smell that division title, and they could possibly take this division title in this game. Now, I forgot the other nuances, to be honest with you, if other teams have to lose or what have you, but I know they either they may be able to get this with this victory, maybe I don't know if they need help from their friends or not, but they will this either way, it goes a long way toward the division title, and I think Green Bay will take this game, probably a barn burner against the Chicago Bears. Next game, I'm going to take Washington on the road against a Cleveland team that has played very well, especially on the defensive end as of late. And this team, the Cleveland Browns, they could be a team to be reckoned with, maybe like next season and possibly the year after. Right now, I think Washington, if RG3 does play this game especially, I think Redskins are a team that's getting turned around, and a lot of it is attributed to RG3. Their quarterback, Mr. Versatility, can run, throw the ball, got a very good head on his shoulders, and the Redskins, even defensively, they look like they've stepped it up a notch a little bit as well, and I'll go with the Redskins in this game. Next game, we got a clash of two AFC Titans. Baltimore is at home against the Denver Broncos. I think in this game, though, I'm going to take Denver. Baltimore somewhat, slightly decimated with injuries. Still, they have not looked that great as of late. I understand, one of the games was against a divisional foe with the Steelers, but they didn't have Big Ben in that one. And then the next game, they kind of faltered over, at Washington. And I just don't like the way that this team, where they're headed right now. And I think Denver is kind of like on a mission. They could be very competitive in terms of coming out of the AFC. I believe the Broncos will win this game, and probably a competitive game over the Ravens. Next game, I'm going to take Houston to bounce back at home and defeat the Indianapolis Colts. Indianapolis, we talk about Mr. Providential Luck. Quarterback Andrew Luck is very, is really, exceeding, my expectations or whatever I thought he was going to be doing. But I think Houston, they don't have a tendency to lose two in a row too many times. They are at home, virtually invincible there, with the exception, they had that one aberration this year, I think it was against Green Bay when they got throttled. And as far as the Indianapolis Colts go, I don't know if they still have, Pat Anger or whoever is going to be on that defensive end. I remember last season he was, one of the league leaders in tackles, and if he's on there, he's obviously going to, and he might have to make a lot of tackles in this one, because, Houston, I think, is going to put up some points in this game and will emerge victorious. Next game, New Orleans at home over Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think I'm going to take New Orleans Saints in this game. And, Tampa Bay has played exceptionally well lately. I understand that. But New Orleans is at home. They still have a very good, explosive, volatile offense. Their defense, is obviously it's one of the worst that we've seen in terms of yards per game in a very long time. But at the same time, I think, if you try to get in a shootout with Drew Brees, it's not going to work. And I think that's what could happen in this game. And I believe New Orleans will take this game. Next game, I'm going to take Detroit on the road against the Arizona Cardinals. It's just a simple fact that, Arizona has looked hapless, helpless, and hopeless in a number of their games of late. They started out like, basically on a rampage at 4-0. I believe now they've lost 9 consecutive games, and they are not headed in a very good direction. Detroit, is a team that hasn't really played to their potential, and they had expectations of a possible division title, and basically, Detroit is kind of, starting to dissipate a little, but I still think they're good enough to beat, a team that only managed 6 points against the Jets a couple weeks ago. So I believe the Detroit Lions should take this one. Next game, I'm going to take San Diego Chargers at home over the Carolina Panthers. The Chargers showed something last week. Phillip Rivers, might be a little bit too little too late, but he looked like he was kind of coming out of his funk a little bit, and he had a solid game last week. I believe it was a tough road game to play against a vaunted Steelers defense. I understand the Steelers and their defense might not be as good as they were in previous years at this point of the season, but still, they played formidable team at home, and they defeated them. I think Carolina, I know they got their win last week, and they're all ecstatic, all happy because they beat the Atlanta Falcons. But this time they got to go on the road, unfamiliar opponent. I think San Diego has enough to beat them. This is another toss-up game. Got Buffalo at home, and Seattle Seahawks come to town. I want to take the Seattle Seahawks in this one. I think their defense has been playing exceptionally well. I love the team. I love their safeties. I love what this team has done this season. If it wasn't for the 49ers, they could very well be the supreme team in that NFC West. But Buffalo, to me, they just they seem like they really are just not able to do much on any end of the ball right now. I think Seattle, they are vying for a playoff spot, and I think they'll continue that run in this particular game. So I'm going to take the Seattle Seahawks, probably a close game on the road. Next game, here's another toss-up. Dallas at home against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I've been basically Mr. Ambivalent in this, on this one. I'm going to take Dallas just for the simple fact that they've been playing a little bit better as of late than Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, I know Big Ben is going to come back. He was back. Last week he didn't have a terrible game. He did pretty well. But I think it's still kind of like, like how Stella, got her groove back. The Steelers are still trying to find their groove, and I think it's going to be, another few weeks till they really start getting, I know there's only 3 weeks left in the season, maybe a couple weeks until, they start playing, the way, they are supposed to with everybody healthy, 100%. Big Ben is who I was referring to mainly with that statement. So I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys in this one. Next game, Oakland Raiders at home versus Kansas City Chiefs. Well, the latter part of that statement should pretty much sum it up. If the Chiefs are coming to town, I don't care where they're playing, I think the home team, should win that game. Oakland, even though they haven't, really looked stellar as of late, I do believe they have enough in the tank to defeat Kansas City. And Oakland Raiders in this game at home, I'll take. Now the next game, we got a battle of two dominant teams with the New England Patriots and San Francisco 49ers. Did New England convey a very good message last week to the NFL? I think they do. And NFL stands for not for long, in terms of maybe Houston and being that that team that was at the pinnacle in a lot of people's eyes and the top dog in the AFC, because it didn't take New England that long to really upseed them. Even though New England's record is not as good as Houston, I think New England showed that they're still that they're that best team in that AFC, and I think it's Super Bowl might have to go through New England this season. In San Francisco, I understand they play defense well consistently. Their running game is extraordinary, but I'm going to take New England in this one. It's basically the home team is the tiebreaker in this game, and I think the Patriots should pull it out. Last but not least, this is another toss-up. Tennessee Titans at home versus the New York Jets. These are two teams very similar caliber, mediocre to slightly below mediocre. I'm going to take the Titans. I know that they came out last week and they showed me something. They played with a lot of passion and heart against a very gritty and tough Indianapolis Colts team, and barely, they came did everything but win the ball game. Tennessee at home this week against the Jets. The Jets really have difficulty putting up points. I think in Tennessee their offense will play just a little bit better, and they are at home, and that's going to be the tail of this game. And I think the Jets, after this game, they'll be everything but mathematically eliminated from playoff contention. So take the Titans in this one. Well, anyway, people, that will conclude my prediction segment for Week 15, 2012 season for the NFL. And stay tuned next time, where I'll be giving you my prognostications and picks for Week 16. I'll see you then.